Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanTrucks.com, and today we're taking a closer look at and installing the K&N Series 63 cold air intake, available with the oiled filter for your 2019 and newer 5.7 Ram 1500. Now we've got our 5.7 in the shop today with this guy installed. You should be looking at this if you're looking for a better breathing engine, a little bit more horsepower and torque, and an easily washable and reusable superior oiled filter. Now K&N's been doing this for decades. They make some of the more premium quality options in the category, and this is definitely going to fit that bill. This oiled filter here comes with a cotton gauze media, better for airflow there, and of course better for filtration. You can pop that guy off, wash it, re-oil it yourself, and throw it right back in, saving you time and money in the long run. Now there are dry filter options in the category as well if you're looking to go that way. Definitely recommended for some dry weather climates, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in detail later on when we compare this to stock. Now in the category, you'll see there's a couple of different options specifically from K&N. They have their Series 63 we have here, 77 is an option out there, and they are very similar intakes if you're weighing them back and forth. This guy, the Series 63, is made from a roto-molded polyethylene material, so a really heavy-duty, good for heat dissipation plastic. The Series 77, however, is an aluminum polished option, so it's got a little bit more flash under the hood, different material slightly. There's a slight difference in power outtake as per K&N's claims there. This guy's gonna make right around 10 horsepower and about 15 torque at the rear wheels, as K&N claims. Now, this guy's a direct bolt-on, no tune required intake, so right out of the box, you can bolt it right up. No need to pick up a new flash for it, so that's gonna be a whole lot easier on you. If you're looking for something that makes a little bit more power, they have their other options, as well as some tune required options if you want to take it the next step farther. Now, the price for this one comes in right around 350 bucks. Install gets 1 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter. Simple hand tools will do the trick. I'm gonna show you every step of the process. Let's get to it. Tools used in this install include an impact gun, a small extension, 8mm socket or a flathead screwdriver, 5/32 hex socket or Allen key, 19mm wrench, and a pair of wire cutters or something similar. All right, first step here is to start work uninstalling your factory intake tube by your throttle body. We're gonna disconnect our breather hose by pushing up on this gray tab from underneath and pushing straight back. Just like that. And then your sensor is right next to it, pinch and disconnect. All right, next step, we're gonna loosen up the hose clamp connecting the tubing to the throttle body. I'm gonna use an 8mm socket, but you can also use a flathead. All right, once that's loose, you can wiggle this guy back and forth and pop it off of the throttle body. Now you should be able to just lift your intake housing straight up off of the grommets. Just like that, and set it aside. So we got our factory intake off of our 19 Ram behind me, and it's on the table next to our K&N Series 63 cold air intake. I want to take you through some similarities and differences between the two kits, starting up front with the main player, the filter. Now the filter here from K&N is a washable and reusable oiled filter, pre-oiled right out of the box, so you can drop it right into your truck. Your factory filter is a flat paper element drop-in filter, very common from manufacturers like Dodge, Ford, and Chevy, and so on. This filter here is perfectly adequate at pulling in cold air, but it's not really optimized for filtering out all of the particles you don't want getting into your engine bay. Again, perfectly fine filter for a stock intake, but if you're looking to optimize airflow and get a superior filtration, this guy here is going to be the way to go. K&N's been making filters for decades, and this filter is one of the more premium options in the category. Being an oiled filter, it is perfect for pulling in the maximum amount of cold air that you can get out of a filter. Oiled filters like this one use a high quality cotton gauze element, which is a little bit more open than a paper element like this one here. The more open element allows in more volume of airflow, a lot more cold air, while also filtering out all the particles. Now the oil there is perfect for catching those particles, and the fact that it's an oil filter makes it easy to wash, re-oil, and reuse. No need to pick a new one up when it comes time for routine maintenance. Now, there are pluses and minuses, as there are with everything when it comes to oiled versus dry, because there are dry aftermarket filters out there, especially from K&N. Now, oiled filters are typically the best of both worlds type of situation. It does, however, require a little bit more maintenance than a dry filter with washing and re-oiling. Dry filters don't clog up as much and require as much maintenance, but they're not as reusable as oiled. Dry filters are a little bit better for areas that may see a lot more air pollution, maybe dry weather climates, something that sees a little bit more dirt and dust in the air like that on the West Coast. Now it's for you to decide which one fits your truck best, but this particular option is a great daily driver that drops right in out of the box. Now the tubing here and the heat shield are made from a roto-molded high-density polyethylene, great for heat dissipation, a little bit bigger in diameter than your factory tubing, still not requiring any tune to get going. Comes with new couplers, velocity stack. It also comes with weather stripping to seal in under the hood to block out any engine bay heat and keeping cold air in. Now we have a couple of factory components we have to transfer over from our factory intake over to our K&N, so let's do that first, and then we'll head back under the hood. All right, now the first thing I want to focus on is the bottom part of our factory heat shield or air box. Now I took this apart to show you guys the filter. Yours may still be together right off of the vehicle. Still easy to access. There are 2 rubber grommets here on the side, and then 2 on the bottom that we have to pop off. Don't really need any hand tools, just go from the bottom and pry it back and then set them aside. Just like that. Same thing on the bottom. And now we can set the bottom portion aside. If you are still connected all out of the vehicle, we're gonna have to keep this on the table to remove the sensor. Sensor's right here. You're gonna twist, give it a little bit of a wiggle and pull straight back and it'll disconnect. Now from here, you are gonna have to remove the O-ring on this. Now it may be easy to use a flathead screwdriver, you just don't want to damage anything, we just have to take that O-ring off. All right, next up in your hardware bag in the kit, you'll find a rubber O-ring grommet. That's going to go into the pre-drill hole on the side here where we'll insert our sensor. It's a little bit of a tight squeeze, you just want to get it to hug around the center there. You see the split in the middle, that's going to hug right around that pre-drilled hole. All right, just like that. And from there, you can take your sensor and insert it. We wanted to take that O-ring out because this grommet is going to act as the O-ring and seal it up, and the O-ring from the factory would prevent a good seal. I'm just going to twist it in there so it's all the way seated. All right, and then you want to find the orientation where it would go into the throttle body like this, and make sure it is facing the same direction that the factory one was, which was toward the driver's side. Just like that. All right, next up, we're gonna focus on our hose fitting. Now, you don't need to use thread tape out of the box. It's not recommended from K&N, but it is optional. If you have thread tape, you can put that around the threading there to get a better seal. But right out of the box, you should be able to just screw it right in by hand. And then what we're gonna do is take a wrench that fits around this fitting here and just make sure it's got a good half turn. Now, you may want to thread it all the way down to the bottom. I know that feels like an instinct, but that can strip it out, and you definitely don't want that to happen. So you're really just going hand tight, which leaves a lot of thread on the outside. Take a wrench, half or quarter turn just to get it snug, and then you're done. There will be threading sticking out. You don't want to go too far and strip it out. All right, so I've got a 19mm wrench, and I've got it hand tight already. Take that, give it one full turn there. There you go. Next, we're gonna put our couplers on. The shorter coupler is gonna go on your throttle body side, and that double-edged coupler here that has a lump in the middle is gonna go toward your filter side. So I'm gonna focus on the throttle body first, insert this guy over the edge, and make sure it's seated about halfway down. From there, take one of the smaller clamps included in the kit, insert that over, and we're gonna tighten it down to the tubing side. All right, go back to your 8mm socket or your flathead and tighten it down. What I like to do is just take the other clamp and get it a little bit snug on that coupler so it doesn't fall off, and it's there for when we install it on our throttle body. Now we can install the other one on the other end. Now for this one, we are gonna have to insert the clamp over the coupler before we put it on, otherwise that lump in the middle is gonna prevent us from sliding it on all the way. I like to make sure that the clamp is facing the front of the engine bay so it's easier to access. So I have it up here, this is your throttle body, this will be facing you on the outside of the vehicle. That slides on pretty simply, and you're just gonna push the tubing all the way toward the middle of that lump. All right, and then tighten it down. Same thing for the other one. I'm just gonna set it on so that it's snug. All right, now we can set this aside and focus on our housing. Let's focus on the factory rubber grommets we took off of the stock airbox. We're gonna insert those into these 2 holes on the side and the 2 holes on the bottom. Just snaps right in there. Now we can take our velocity stack and set it inside of the heat shield, and we're gonna push that through the open hole where it has the 2 smaller holes drilled. Now the velocity stack has pre-drilled holes on the ends, so just line those up to the open holes. Grab your 5/32 hex screws along with the split and flat washers, and you're gonna secure the velocity stack to the heat shield. Once you got the thread started, you can grab your 5/32 Allen key or hex socket and tighten them down. All right, next we can focus on our weather stripping. Now this guy is gonna go right up at the top, and it's just gonna snap right onto the edge there. All right, so when you get to the end, you'll have a little bit of excess you'll have to cut off, so you can grab wire cutters or something similar and snip that right off. All right, last step on the table here, let's insert our filter. Now on the filter, you'll see a chrome strip inside of that filter element there. You wanna make sure that's facing the bottom. We're gonna insert this nose down first and wrap it around that velocity stack. You can put your hand in here to help you get it through. Make sure the clamp is in position and tighten it down. Perfect. All right, now let's drop this into the engine bay and then follow it up with our tubing. For our next step, we're gonna drop in our air box and our filter. You wanna make sure that the opening here is lining up with the air duct that leads to your front grille, and you're gonna snap those rubber grommets back into position. Just like that. All right, so next we're gonna connect this to our air filter and velocity stack, and then of course the throttle body. With those guys connected, grab your socket and tighten them down. All right, so here we can connect the breather hose from the back to the fitting we installed on our table, and it clicks right into place. That's gonna wrap up my review and install for the K&N Series 63 Cold Air Intake, available for the 2019 and newer 5.7 Ram. You can get yours right here at AmericanTrucks.com.